So what's been going on with the shop? Stay tuned and we'll answer that very question. Good day, everyone. I hope that everybody had a good Christmas and that everyone is off to a good start in the new year. I just wanted to take a moment and kind of give an update on the shop. A lot has really changed here. As most people know, this doesn't have a very big following. I think right now I'm sitting at 200 or so subscribers. So not a huge channel, not a huge populace on this channel right now, but nonetheless, the videos have gotten some views, and it's been a long time since I've made a video and wanted to do a bit of an update as to what's going on. So as most of you know, I've done just general machining. I've done some prototyping, machine repair, equipment repair, mechanicing, things like that. And one of my other big passions is more of the gunsmithing, custom rifle, custom pistol side of life. If you were a fan of the old channel, DH Gunworks, you kind of know that. I started the DH Custom channel to kind of get everything brought under one roof, my one brand, if you will. The shop is DH Custom, and it confused a lot of people having the DH Gunworks and yada yada yada. So anyway, the DH Custom Presents the Shop was started, and we kind of, I didn't do a lot of videos, but it was just the approach was whatever came in is what we're kind of working on. So you know, there's a couple videos on some old lathes. There's you know, make two videos on, you know, doing a feed wagon repair and some other stuff. Anyway, point being is I got way too busy with everything and just needed a slowdown. So just shut the doors, got caught up on all my work, and just kind of said, you know, I've got so many irons and so many fires that I can't get anything done. And so it just kind of made some decisions on what it is I wanted to do. And that was to focus more on the custom side of life. You know, like I said before, I'd do all kinds of gunsmithing and all kinds of equipment repair, machinery repair, and it just, you can get so overwhelmed doing so many different things. You can work 7 days a week, all hours of the day, and not gain any ground. And it'll burn you out. And so it just, here's the deal. This is what the direction I want to go. I think, that being said, there's a lot to it. I mean, the way I do my smithing is I make a lot of tools and things like that. So that's what this channel is gonna focus on. As far as equipment, I think most people that watch this channel know that for quite a while I had my Clausen Colchester. It was a 1336, it was made 1968. That was an awesome lathe. Basically it was like the same thing as the Mach 1 1.5, just a real stout, beefy, very accurate lathe. I love that machine. I was working on a Remington 783 for a friend of mine. And I had just gotten the action all trued up, you know, got the raceways trued, got the threads trued, got the face of the action trued up, and that was on a weekend. Came back the next weekend to do the barrel work. Got the barrel all set up, went and turned the machine on, had quite the lightning show on the motor side of life, and that was all she wrote. That really made me sad. The thing with that is it's not like you can just go out and get a motor for it, because on those old Colchesters, they were a 2-speed motor. And in that case, that was a 3 horsepower, 1.5 horsepower motor. So you had a motor in a motor. You had a set of windings that made 3.5 horse, and then another set of windings that made 1.5 horse. And those motors are very hard to come by, and when you do come by them, they're pretty pricey. A simple solution would be just to buy a 3-phase motor that matched the high side and wire in a VFD, which ultimately I'm going to do, but the caveat that I want is I wanted it to still function as it did from Colchester, i.e. I wanted my start-stop brake to work off the levers, I wanted my forward and reverse to work, and I didn't want to, like most people do, they'll just wire it in and reach across the machine to start, stop, and vary the speed. I didn't want to have to reach across the machine. I think that's kind of a dangerous way to do it. However, if you saw the rotary switch that's on these things, it's very complex, and I can understand why people do it. So long-term goal is to get a 3 horsepower motor, 3-phase, that I can run a VFD to, but I want everything wired up to the factory controls. And then if I want to use low, you can shut the machine off, change the frequency to run in your low gears, and it will work as it did, as it was. I like the idea of the VFD on that machine because it give you I think it'd make it a lot more usable. The other thing was the VFD, the unit itself can be a little bit noisy from frequency, so I want to make a regular box, and that's a whole nother can of worms. So long story short, I didn't really have the time to take several months to fix that lathe, so I did a bunch of research, talked to a bunch of people about different lathes and what they're using, and couldn't find what I wanted in the price range that I wanted right now used. So bought a brand new lathe, and that'll be a whole separate video. Meanwhile, on that, what I did is I had to go through and figure out a pretty creative way to achieve the same level of accuracy and tolerance on my old South Bend that I had on my closing. And because of the wear in the machine, mostly it was wear in the tailstock. I didn't feel, even with I'm not a, how do I want to say it? Again, this is probably, we'll take a much deeper look at this in a later video, but there was enough wear in the tailstock, not so much in the bed, but in the tailstock, in the spindle of my old South Bend. I did not feel comfortable chambering with that. Probably would have been about, I probably could have maintained a tolerance, and the test pieces that I did varied between 4 and 4 10,000ths to a half a thou overall on a cut chamber. And I just didn't like that because I could get a 10th thou or better on the closing. So what I ended up having to do was engineered this whole contraption that would take the place of my compound and made a custom boring block for that, and basically ran it like a CNC. If you've ever seen a CNC work, you know, they have a tailstock, and they don't use it. They use the cross slide, and so that's the route I took. That got me through the barreling that I needed to do, and pretty good tolerances on that. That's my old South Bend was made in 43, so it's got some bed wear, which it worked out nice because even with the wear, because everything was on the saddle, you kind of evened that wear out. Is it as good as what I could have done on the closing? It's pretty damn close. Shoots great. Some other neat features about the 783 that make this unique is it's not a fancy caliber. It's a 243. The guy wanted more of a target style 243 for him and his son to plink with. But what's interesting is the barrel on the 783 is, well, the action and everything on the Remington 783 is modeled after the Savage 110. They utilize a locking nut to adjust headspace rather than a precisely machined tenon, and those things is just a barrel nut basically. And because of that, the barrel is an inch rather than on a true match barrel you're looking at 1.25 inches. And so this is the factory barrel, and this is the new barrel. This is the 783. So you can see there's quite a difference. I don't even think this diameter is somewhere up in here on the taper. So it was a lot of work on this. You can see by the bolt knob that this is a 783. It's got the flat knob bolt handle with the R cut into it. It is clear. So what I did is I cut my tenon, custom made a barrel nut that was oversized to be able to fit accommodate the new barrel, which is a heavy. This is an MTU contour on the 783 action in MDT LSS stock. This thing really shoots well. It's very good. But again, all of this we'll talk about in great detail in later videos. Really, the purpose of this video was just more of a shop update. So anyway, that's where we're at. Just a lot going on, kind of a new direction. Hopefully, you know, the good thing is we're going to start right from the beginning. We're going to start with our this is a brand new lathe that we'll take a look at in the next video. I'll kind of go over an overview on it and what went into choosing this for a machine and all of those things, the good, the bad. And then we'll get into lathe leveling and truing up tailstocks and just a whole bunch of different stuff. It ought to be really fun. And to be honest, this is something that I have wanted to do. Again, if you're fans of the old channel, this is stuff that I've talked about doing for years now. And we're gonna finally. That was the good thing that came out of this, is we're gonna do it. So again, thanks for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe. Stay tuned for other upcoming videos with the new lathe and all those things. And stay safe out there, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks, everyone.